What's happening on the NDSU campus? Watch Bison Information Network News every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Cable 1 Channel 70. This student-run weekly newscast covers relevant news and current events, entertainment, Bison sports, and more. Watch BIN News Fridays at 9 p.m., Saturdays at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., and Sundays at 9 a.m. on Cable 1 Channel 70.
Bison Information Network News is brought to you in partnership with Cable 1.
Good evening and welcome to Bison Information Network News. I'm Noah Smith.
And I'm Gabby Hirsch. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and NDSU Health Promotions invites you to show your support for victims of sexual assault. The organization is hosting a 5 and 10K at the Shack this Sunday to support victims of sexual assault and to bring the issue to the community's attention. The family-friendly event will encourage conversation about sexual assault, awareness, and prevention. NDSU Health Promotion says that support from the larger community can translate into better response for victims of sexual assault and can ultimately change social norms that offenders rely on to commit sexual violence.
Women's rights was the topic of the Gunlogson presentation this Tuesday at the NDSU Archives. The Gunlogson grant funds up to $2,000 in support of local archival research. Christy McGeorge and Ashley Baggett took advantage of this opportunity to focus their research named The First of Its Kind, which elaborated on the first federally funded Women's Rights Conference in 1977. During the 1977 Women's Rights Conference, women of North Dakota proposed 40 different resolutions, including advancing rights of homemakers, equal pay, and addressed inequalities faced by Native American women. The two also focused on how the women of North Dakota worked to create equality for themselves and across the country. Significant to this presentation, event coordinator and Gunlogson grant partner Christina Weber touched on the importance of this research and the important history of women's rights.
The issue itself is very important. I think it gives a lot of history to voting rights and the women's movement in North Dakota, which I think a lot of folks will be surprised at how active of a women's movement we had early on in North Dakota. So I think it would be just exciting to hear about this particular aspect of our history in North Dakota.
NDSU's fashion students took to the runway yesterday for their largest annual event. The Great Plains Ballroom looked like a scene straight out of Fashion Week, and I stopped by to get a glimpse. Take a look. The 18th Annual Fabo Fashion Show, an event put on by NDSU's Fashion, Apparel, and Business Organization. The title of this year's fashion show is Stairway to Style, and the theme, rock and roll. The Fashion, Apparel, and Business Organization, or FABO, hosted their major annual event, the FABO Fashion Show, on Wednesday. This year's event, Stairway to Style, had a rock and roll theme complete with lots of grunge and 80s style outfits and classic rock songs blasting through the speakers. FABO is a student organization that gives NDSU students interested in the fashion industry the chance to showcase their designs, network, and gain a practical perspective of the industry. The show featured student designers modeling their work as well as outfits and styles put together from local retailers. Some of the retailers featured this year included Apricot Lane, Francesca's, Leela and Lavender, Shields, and many more.
The show was so fun because it got to let students express their creative designs, and I have a lot of friends in the show, so it was a lot of fun to watch them do what they love.
The fashion show is really important to me because all of us spend hours in the sewing lab, like evenings into mornings. We're there making our garments. Like, we mess up, we create a new one.
One special thing about this year's fashion show, it definitely rocked. Signing off with Bison Information Network, I'm Gabby Hirsch. The fashion show was such a fun event with an incredible turnout. Students interested in getting involved with NDSU's Apparel and Design Department can learn more at www.ndsu.edu/adhm.
And now we will go to Heather with our weekend weather update. Heather?
Thanks, guys. It's finally starting to feel like winter is over, with temps this past week reaching up to 70 degrees. Right now, it's 64 degrees out with winds at 29 miles per hour and humidity at 20%. For the rest of the week, we can expect high temps and sunny days. Tomorrow, we have a high of 58 and a low of 40. Saturday, 55 and a low of 36. Sunday and Monday are going to be rainy with lows in the mid-30s and highs almost reaching 50. For the rest of the week, Tuesday will be 52 with a low of 37. Wednesday, a high of 47 and a low of 39. Thursday, a high of 53 and a low of 39. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Heather. And after the break, we'll have some info for you about Dead Week on campus and a popular campus attractions event this weekend.
We'll be right back.
The NDSU Bookstore, where every true fan and alum goes to get their pride on. Gear up with a variety of high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more. Made by top-of-the-line brands like Under Armour, Nike, and CI Sport to help you show off your Bison pride. The NDSU Bookstore has everything you need in your two favorite colors, green and gold.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life. Somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
The NDSU Center for Writers hosted another workshop in the library this past Wednesday. This week's topic discussed many different ways to avoid plagiarism in written papers. They also included group work based on previous workshops. Christina, who was the main speaker at the event, talked about how intentionally or unintentionally plagiarizing undermines the person who originally wrote the work. This was the final workshop of the semester, and if you would like to find out more about them in the future or register for any of the workshops, please contact christina.catan@ndsu.edu.
Dead Week for NDSU students begins this Monday, which is the final week of classes before finals. The NDSU main library will be open 24 hours every day from April 29th until May 9th to allow for a quiet space for students to study for exams. Also, residence halls will be under a 24-hour quiet hours policy until the end of the semester to facilitate studying. The Quinn Burdick building will still provide 24-hour access to its computer lab as usual. Finals begin May 6th.
Grocery Bag Bingo is coming back to the Memorial Union for the third time this academic year. Campus Attractions invites all students to try their luck at bingo for a chance to stock up on groceries and win other prizes. The event is scheduled to take place at the Great Plains Ballroom this Saturday, April 26th, from 9:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. This is a free event and food will be provided. No pre-registration is required.
The NDSU Graduate Council is an organization that represents the interest of graduate students at NDSU. The has elected officials for the next academic year. The election was held on April 24th, where 8 aspiring candidates gave presentations about their vision for the council. 4 NDSU doctoral students were elected. Dowlat Hossein from Logistics and Transportation is now president of the Graduate Student Council. Richard Nee Lante from Pharmaceutical Science is vice president. Sean Mahoney from Health, Nutrition, and Exercise Science is the scribe. And Mojtaba Ahmadi from Mechanical Engineering was named treasurer. Coming up next, we'll look towards the 2020 election and have our Health Minute.
We'll be right back.
You are watching NDSU's The Bison Information Network Student Broadcasting Organization channel, BIN 484. You were watching BIN 484. Watch the weekly BIN newscast live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here on BIN 484. Make sure to check out Bison home softball games this season right here on BIN 484, your home for the Summit League Tournament. Also watch games on www.gobison.com, NDSU All Access. BIN 484, operated by the Bison Information Network in conjunction with the NDSU Department of Communication Broadcast Program.
I remember the moment
I'll never forget that moment.
that changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life. Somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
The number of Democrats running for president is about to crack 20. Former Vice President Joe Biden is expected to throw his hat in the ring today.
As CNN's Kuhn Law reports, that could be a game changer for the entire Democratic race. 76-year-old Biden will be the second oldest Democratic candidate.
Than ever, 2020 presidential candidates head to Houston, courting voters of color. The She the People Forum, 8 of the 2020 candidates will speak, addressing women of color issues, a signal of this voting bloc's power in the Democratic nomination. Among the speakers, the only black woman running for president this cycle, Kamala Harris. At the CNN town hall, she weighed in on felons voting, a group disproportionately made up of people of color.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
The next day, Harris seeking to clarify her response.
Do I think that people who commit murder, people who are terrorists, should be deprived of their rights? Yeah, I do. I'm a prosecutor. I believe that in terms of there has to be serious consequence for the most extreme types of crimes.
The issues and the entire Democratic race will be a brand new primary game tomorrow, when former Vice President Joe Biden makes his long-awaited campaign official. His Political Action Committee teased what CNN reports will be a video announcement on Thursday, while building up an email and fundraising list, writing, "There has been a lot of chatter about what Joe Biden plans to do. We want you to be the first to know."
Mr. Vice President.
After the announcement, sources tell CNN Biden will hold his first campaign event in Pittsburgh, then hit the road to the early voting states of Iowa, South Carolina, and New Hampshire.
Give everybody else their day, then I get a shot, and then we're off to the races.
'76-year-old Biden will be the second oldest Democratic candidate, a year younger than Bernie Sanders.
Sources say he plans to get ahead by emphasizing that Democratic's most important job is to defeat President Trump. This week marks the anniversary of the Rana Plaza factory collapse in Bangladesh that took the lives of 1,134 garment workers. Fashion Revolution Week is a movement that comes together to honor those who lost their lives and to encourage millions of people to ask one question: who made my clothes? The Fargo-Moorhead area is calling for artists, designers, and many others to join more than 92 countries in the worldwide movement that calls for accountability in the clothing industry.
You may not believe it, but we are still in the grips of an active flu season. CNN's Meredith Wood explains in today's Health Minute.
There have been 21 straight weeks of elevated flu season in the U.S., making the current 2018-2019 flu season the longest in 10 years. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the previous record high was 20 weeks during the 2014-2015 season. Still, there is some good news. The number of states reporting widespread influenza declined by almost half during the week of April 13th, compared to the week before. And according to the CDC, this flu season was considered moderate in terms of severity, a positive change for the medical community after last year's flu season, which was one of the most severe. Doctors say the most important and effective way to fight the flu each year is still the flu vaccine. The CDC recommends everyone 6 months and older get vaccinated. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood. There's been 21 straight weeks of elevated.
To find the nearest flu vaccine location in your area, go to www.vaccines.gov. After the break, Isaac Dinesen will have some sports for us.
What do you have for us, Isaac?
Well, we got some information about the football spring game coming up tomorrow night at the Fargo Dome. Plus, we also have some highlights from the Bison baseball team. Softball team's been killing it recently, and we have a lot more updates on the NHL and the NBA playoffs. We'll have that and more for you when we come back. Football is back at the Fargo Dome this weekend as NDSU will host its spring game tomorrow night, the first under new head coach Matt Entz. The team will also receive their 2018 FCS championship rings in a ceremony prior to the main event. The event will serve as an opportunity for fans to see the team in action, though in a scrimmage setting before their August 30th season opener. On its spring roster, NDSU has 16 seniors and 17 juniors, returning from the program's 7th championship in 8 seasons. Senior running back Ty Brooks and junior linebacker Jabril Cox are expected to be standouts for NDSU this upcoming season on offense and defense respectively. With the graduation of 3.5-year starter Easton Stick, the starting quarterback position is up for grabs, and all 4 potential candidates for the position are expected to get playing time in the scrimmage. Trey Lance, Holden Hotchkiss, Noah Sanders, and Iowa State transfer Zeb Nolan will each get their chances to show they're worthy of leading the Bison offense. Admission is free for all ages, and the ring ceremony will begin at 6 o'clock with the scrimmage starting at 6:30. Bison softball now holds a 1.5-game lead in the Summit League standings after a dominating 3-game sweep of the South Dakota Coyotes in Vermillion last weekend. It all started when NDSU scored 2 runs in the 8th inning to break a scoreless tie in Game 1, and KK Letty threw a 1-hit shutout over 8 innings just 5 days after her no-hitter against South Dakota State. Game 2 saw the Bison offense catch fire, winning 10-0 in 5 innings behind Maddie Hansen's 4 RBIs, and Paige Vargas threw another 1-hit shutout. The third game was yet another complete game shutout by Leddy as the Bison won 7-0, making it 20 consecutive scoreless innings since their last loss. The team returns to Thoroldson Park this weekend to take on the last place Omaha Mavericks beginning tomorrow at 2 p.m. Despite a series loss to Oral Roberts last weekend, the Bison baseball team at least got to play on its home field for the first time this season. On Tuesday, they were back in action for a matchup against the Dakota State Trojans at Newman Outdoor Field. It was a beautiful night for baseball on Tuesday night. The Bison acknowledging the national anthem. Their starter, Hunter Kemp, here in the top of the second inning, strikes out Chase DeWitt, but he has to leave the game with an apparent arm injury, so Jake Drew comes in to pitch in his place. In the bottom of that inning, here's Carter Thompson sending a high fly ball out to left center field, and all the outfielders can do is turn and watch as that ball is out of here. That's his second home run of the season, a 2-run home run to put the Bison up 2-0 at the time. Later on in that inning, here is Jake Malik hitting this one right back up the middle through the infield, and coming in to score is Charlie Hesse to give the Bison a 3-0 lead still in the second inning. That's Malik's 15th run driven in on the season. Shifting gears then to the bottom of the sixth inning, the Bison now up 6-0, having a good time at the ballpark. It's Malik again sending this one down the right field line for a fair ball in the right field corner. First baseman couldn't grab it, and Malik's rounding second on his way to third, and the infielders are not going to be able to throw him out in time. That's Malik's third hit of the game, and that would be his final plate appearance of the day. The next batter here is Bennett Hostetler. He's going to hit one slowly to the right side, and it's going to be a tough play for the infielders. Malik comes in to score from third as Hostetler is safe. Bison leads 7-0 here. They'd go on to win 11-0 in 8 innings as Nick Emanuel hit a 2-run home run to end the game. The Bison had 10 hits as a team, and 4 different players each drove in 2 runs. They're in the midst of a stretch where they're scheduled to play 16 of their final 17 games of the regular season at home. That will continue with a 3-game series against Western Illinois beginning Friday night at 6:30. The NDSU men's and women's track and field teams have been recognized as some of the best in the Midwest as their outdoor seasons roll on. Beginning with the men's team, the Bison are 3rd in the Midwest region in the latest rankings, trailing only Iowa and Nebraska from the Big Ten. NDSU has been ranked in the top 3 every week so far this outdoor season, which is helped out by their collective number 1 and 2 rankings in the hammer throw and shot put events respectively. Meanwhile, for the women's team, they're ranked 6th in the Midwest region at this point in the season. Their rankings enhanced due to 3 collective number 1 rankings in the country in the shot put, hammer throw, and the heptathlon. Bison senior Amanda Levin just won a Conference Athlete of the Week award for her record-setting heptathlon in Azusa, California last week. Both teams are taking part in the Drake Relays down in Des Moines, Iowa that began today and will end on Saturday. The NDSU women's golf team was unable to defend its conference championship earlier this week, finishing 5th at the Summit League tournament in Newton, Kansas. The Bison finished 7 strokes behind 4th place South Dakota State with a total of 951, 47 strokes behind Denver. Sophomore Taylor McCorkle finished tied for 7th individually, leading NDSU with a score of 233, 16 strokes behind Denver's Mary Weinstein. Emma Groom and Maddie Herzog had top 20 finishes as well for the Bison, scoring 237 and 239 respectively. Groom and McCorkle came in as the top 2 individual seeds on the team just days after they were both named to the All-Summit League second team. And finally, here's a quick update on what's been happening in the NHL and NBA playoffs. With last night's result, the second-round playoff field is set after 3 series lasted the maximum 7 games. In the Eastern Conference, the Boston Bruins will play against the upstart Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New York Islanders will take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who knocked off the defending champion Washington Capitals. As for the NBA, all but 2 first-round series have been decided already. Most notably, the Portland Trail Blazers eliminated the Oklahoma City Thunder on a buzzer-beating 3-pointer from Damian Lillard in Game 5. They will play the winner of the Denver-San Antonio series, but as of now, 2 second-round matchups are set, with the higher seeds both advancing to this point. And if you're interested in hearing more sports talk, here's a clip from our recent episode of X's and O's where Joe Thompson and I talk about the NHL playoffs.
But before I get into that series, I just want to go for the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs are basically in the movie Groundhog Day, where they just keep losing in Game 7s to the Boston Bruins in Boston over and over and over and over again. It happened in 2013, happened a couple seasons ago, and it happened now.
You want to fix that problem? Finish better than Boston in the standings,
Finish better than Boston,
Toronto.
and then you'll beat a team other than Boston, or just beat Boston.
I like you, Toronto. Do something.
Just do something for your fans' sake, but...
You can find the full episode on our YouTube channel at the Bison Information Network, and it's also going to be airing right here on Channel 484.
Thanks, Isaac. After the break, we'll have some advice from graduating seniors and this week's Bison on the Street.
We'll be right back.
Founded in 1985, the Missouri Valley Football Conference has established a tradition of FCS football excellence. Competing at the highest level of NCAA Division I, student athletes at its 10 institutions demonstrate character, passion, and integrity as they grow as a student, an athlete, and a citizen. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, where leaders are shaped and champions are forged.
We got to get downtown to Sandy's Donuts so we can study for that chemistry test.
Yeah, let's get going, but I'm going to drive instead.
All right, man, I'm going to take the map bus.
So what are you majoring in?
Sorry I'm late. It's been a crazy day.
With the snow finally cleared and hopefully no surprise blizzards in sight, spring graduation is only a few weeks away. While seniors are looking to their future outside of school, they can give a little advice to those just beginning. Bison Information Network reporter Noah went out and got some info from seniors.
Here's what I got. Coming to college is a big step towards your independence and eventually a career, so it can be kind of daunting to navigate sometimes. If you just started this spring or are completing your first year and things didn't go quite as you planned, I sat down with a couple graduating seniors who might have a couple tips for you.
I'd say it's a lot different than high school, obviously. The classes are, depending where you're going, a lot more difficult. But I'd say more so just prioritizing your time very well with the assignments because they do start to add up very quickly.
With increased independence compared to high school and living with parents, students need to take charge of their personal, academic, and social lives. It's often hard to balance all three of those at once.
Academically, I would say get engaged with the professor. That means sitting up front in classes. I also recommend to let the professor know your name and ask for any help that you have on anything. That was a big step for me freshman year because in high school I didn't really engage a lot, but when I came here I was making sure that the professor knew who I was, and it helped in the long run, especially with the big classes.
I made a few clubs. I also joined a few clubs, and by doing that I was able to connect with a lot of new people and just expand my network. That would be my advice, is to just get involved in school a lot.
Everyone approaches college life differently, but finding the right way to experience it doesn't have to be done alone. Noah Smith, BIN News.
We'd like to congratulate those graduating this spring, including myself and Noah. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And if you're having any kind of trouble, speak to your friends, professors, advisor, or even the counseling center on campus.
The weather has been very nice lately, with temperatures as high as 75 degrees. This motivates students to spend more time outdoors with their friends.
Bison Information Network reporter Noah Zimmer asked students what activities they've been participating in outside in this week's Bison on the Street.
It's nice weather. I have been rollerblading and doing all sorts of fun outdoor activities such as spike ball.
What I've been doing is I inflated this giant 6-foot-tall beach ball, and I have people write stuff all over it in protest of the university because they have unconstitutional and borderline illegal speech policies that should be abolished. So that's what I've been doing.
Probably going kayaking and fishing a bunch, since my family goes fishing at Devil's Lake a lot. So I'll probably be doing that. Maybe eventually some hunting once I get around to it.
I've been sitting outside with my friend Skylar, and we've been trying to get a tan. And then we've been also studying for finals week coming up in a few weeks.
I'm taking walks. I'm riding my little scooter. Like, I'm just enjoying this beautiful weather. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you for watching this edition of Bison Information Network News.
Be sure to check us out on our Facebook page and YouTube channel.
And catch us back here next Thursday night for our final show of this spring semester. Have a great night, everyone.